Okay, in this week's episode of Two Tired Teachers in Alaska on a Budget, we left Tok, Alaska, and drove this section of the Alcan that we had not done on our way up, which is from Tok down to Whitehorse, because we went up the Klondike Highway, across top of the world, and down the Taylor Highway. So we finished this, and folks, the section from Tok to Destruction Bay was as bad as we had heard. They added potholes along with frost heaves and everything else, and not a lot of video of that because we're holding on to the steering wheel. Then you come almost all the way over to Watson Lake. We actually did go all the way over there to hit the Cassiar, and this is what we're going to be focusing on in this episode, but just to let you know, there's some before and after. The Cassiar Highway, one of the first things you're going to want to do up in this area is there is Jade City. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing we found out later, and that is at lakes, even in parking lots that are natural gravel, you can find green rocks. So keep that in mind if you're in the upper British Columbia. But we're going to talk to you about that. Then we came down to Stewart and across to Hyder, Alaska, and we spent several nights here watching the bear, etc. It was awesome and amazing. We talk about that. Then we come down and you actually finish the Cassiar Highway at this little town that I can't pronounce. This is Highway 16, or the Yellowhead Highway, and that's a highway that goes east to west across Canada. And folks, once we got here, we started hitting little towns every 30, 35 miles all the way over to Prince George. And I'm telling you this because from Prince George over to McBride, this is 100 miles. We'd been lulled into complacency because our goal on this trip is to fill up every 100 miles. We were at like 94 miles at Prince George. By the time we followed all of the signs through the city to get on this Highway 16, because parts that we just didn't feel comfortable stopping to fill up with gas, thought, oh, no problem, we'll see another little town. We were at 220-something miles on our trip meter before we got to McBride. So just bear that in mind. That's a long stretch. But we're doing that so that we can go back down the Icefield Parkway. Hi, and welcome to Two Tired Teachers. We are driving the Cassiar Highway. We have been for several days. And when last we saw you, we were basically ready to leave Tok, hit the Alaska Highway. And on our way out, we stopped at a couple of national recreation area campgrounds that were free.
And that's a great option, that you have a campsite, more or less.
And two really cool things happened at that first one. One was when our mother and I had taken the cruise up here before, I saw planes taking off and landing on the water all the time because we were on a cruise, so we were near the water. That was one thing that we hadn't seen, and there was a customs plane. Yeah. They had some biologists doing some stuff, and we were on a little lake, and
we saw them take off and land numerous times.
And then the other thing was, we got our first glimpse at the Northern Lights. And it looked really different than I'd expected.
Yeah, it was nothing like I thought it would be.
Thankfully, we'd had a couple of people say, look at it through your phone, and we weren't sure what that meant. But then a girl that was camping across from us said, did y'all see the Northern Lights last night? We're like, no. And she said, well, really, it was white, but it showed up better on my phone, and so the hues show up better that way. But something we had heard was that the worst roads you will encounter while traveling in Alaska, at least the paved roads, is the stretch from Tok to Delta Junction.
No, to Destruction Bay.
Yes, Tok to Destruction Bay.
And they weren't joking.
Folks, it was awful.
It rivaled the road from Chicken to...
from the border to Chicken, yeah. And what was different is, once you've been up here for a while, you kind of get used to frost heaves.
Yeah.
You get used to going from asphalt or paved road to gravel, and you know to slow down for those transitions, etc. they threw in giant chug holes. And so now we don't have much video of that. We have the transition from, but it was very often going from pavement to gravel to pavement to gravel
to pavement
with
to gravel.
giant chug holes. I mean, giant chug holes.
Yes.
And so we were going very, very slowly. And at one of those campgrounds, some people pulled in and their back window on their pickup was duct tape. Well, we didn't know them or how long and they said that happened between Tok, and we weren't even to the Canadian border yet. But as they were coming from Tok, a truck passed them and a giant rock flew up or flew out of the truck and just shattered their back window. So, yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
But they could see the good in it, in that if it'd come through the front window, one or both of them might have been seriously injured.
Or if it'd come through the driver's side window and caused a severe accident or something. But as we were driving across to Destruction Bay, MiLena had a situation.
I had a crown just pop out, and we had the crown.
But we thought that they didn't celebrate Labor Day. We were wrong. But she was able. Whitehorse, the only city that we're going to see for a long time, for weeks, and so we knew we needed to get something done there. And she was found a dentist that worked her in, and so we were very grateful for that. So just to let you know, all of these things are going to happen if you travel extensively, and
that's the first dental problem we've had.
We're day after tomorrow will be 3 months in on this trip, and man, what a trip it is. And so just to catch you up where we are, we did you'll go almost over to Watson Lake. We decided to go back there just because we wanted to see our sign. Before we started, I think it was 12 miles or 13 miles further.
Yeah.
But we're here, so we did it. But then you start down the Cassiar Highway. We stopped at Jade City, and we're going to show you what we saw there. We are just leaving Jade City, British Columbia, on the Cassiar Highway. And 92% of the world's jade comes from this area.
World's jade.
Amazing. And as of 2024, you can get a bag of raw jade for $25. And then they give you a card about how to polish it and stuff. And we thought we had the bag full. And said, no, go get some more. And so we did. But we're going to be showing you video of some of the amazing, amazing things they have. And the thing about it is, like with the clocks and stuff, you know it's one of a kind.
Yes.
The polished and chiseled jade, the earrings, all of those things, there's a price to it because it's jade. But this is kind of a neat souvenir, and for those people you forget.
Did you show that the rocks look like rocks?
Yeah, these are jade. This is jade. This is as tall as I am, and this one's been polished here. But when we come around to the backside, this just looks like rock. And he said that what they have to do is to
drill a small hole
and basically taking like a plug out of it, and then they can tell if it's jade or not. But this is just fascinating and really a cool stop on the Cassiar Highway. You don't want to miss it. And
then we came into Stewart. And
honestly, the first night we had planned to go to a provincial park called Clements Lake. We drove up in there, towing, and
they're doing some kind of work.
There's a lot of heavy equipment, construction stuff, and
not heavy equipment, but big equipment, not huge.
And so we just went back to a pullout that was right there at it, and spent the night unhitched.
We had driven and messed around some all day, and it was late, and we were tired.
And it was raining.
Yes.
And so we decided that we knew that place was there. We just unhitched and came into Hyder, which there is no Hyder, Alaska. There is no border crossing when you go from Canada into Hyder, Alaska, because you're basically coming in. There's a place you can buy fudge. There is the bear viewing, which is basically a half a mile this way.
Yeah.
We'll explain the change. And a glacier that's 11, 12 miles that way. But going back into Canada, which we've done several times, evidently some RV channels had indicated that that wasn't a real stringent border crossing, and boy, but they have upped their game.
Yes.
We've seen them searching cars. They ask a lot of questions. I think
Yes.
more questions than
Yes.
almost any border crossing we've been at. But the only place you could have been was Hyder. So, came here. The tickets are $5 a day, where it was 3 days for $11. And you can also have an option of buying a week's worth. We didn't do that, but we got the 3 days.
Yes.
We bought it on September 6th. And when I came to buy it, there was a bear that I could see before I came in. And so I got some video of him. The 7th, we saw a bear, but it was not actually
Yes.
here. But today is the 8th, and we saw a bear this morning. We've been watching a bear this evening. And it's just fascinating.
Yes.
And
The one we saw this evening, I was talking to a ranger and I said, he seems to be feeding on the dead and dying. Are the organs still good? And she said, no, that bear does not have typical behavior. She said he didn't show up yesterday, and we think he didn't feel good because he's been doing exactly what you said. Eating what they call the zombie fish, which is just before death.
they've spawned, and they are
Yeah.
on their way out. They're not actually alive. You can tell
She
when you
said,
see them.
look at that one down there. The head is eaten off. That's because he's going for the brains, and he'll go for any eggs that are left.
But it's just been fascinating. And then this bear went into the bushes some.
Oh, yes, to get berries.
Yeah, the elderberry, is that what they said?
I don't remember.
But there are berries, the foliage, the grass. Those are all things that they will eat as well. And so he's having a well-balanced diet here this evening. But anyway,
they need to fatten up because they're getting ready to hibernate. I don't know when they go into hibernation.
but this, we're getting closer,
Yes.
obviously, as it's getting colder. But we're going to come back in the morning, and if we see any bear then, we'll also show you that. But folks, coming here and just hanging out. Now, yesterday, we know there were people that stayed here for 9 hours or
Yes.
so, did not see a bear. I will say that having a dispersed site that is less than a mile from
Yes.
here has been wonderful, because we can come by 2 or 3 times
Yes.
during each day.
And just ask,
Is there a
Bear?
bear? And if they say no, now the morning and the evening we're just going to hang out
Yeah.
and see. But I do want to give a shout out to the rangers here, because
Yes.
it's awesome that you get to see these bear as close as you do, but they do not let you out until they're sure where the bear has gone. And then they are all armed with spray, so that should anything change, or the bear show aggressive behavior,
Yes.
etc. And they do ask that if the bear needs to be sprayed, let a ranger do that, not you.
yeah, because, folks, it just makes more sense.
And so, but they do an awesome job, and so it's been amazing. Like we said, this is going to be our last stop in Hyder/Stewart, and so we want to talk about that as well. The Cassiar Highway is Highway 37. The little highway that comes across to Stewart and then to Hyder is 37A. And Stewart is kind of a cute little town.
Yes.
It's in British Columbia.
It's quaint.
And entering Alaska, there's a sign that says you're entering Alaska. I don't even know that I got video of it, because I didn't see it until we'd gone back and
Yeah.
forth a number of times. But then you actually do go through customs going back into Canada.
Canada.
And we've done that a number of
Yes.
times, because there's a place I wanted to fish over there.
Yes.
And so they have beefed up their security. I mean, they're asking questions. They are checking some people. So realize that this one town in Alaska is actually on mountain time,
Yes.
except for the post office. And it is on Alaska time.
Yes.
And so, but it's a beautiful area, and man, it has not disappointed.
No, we've been very pleased that we had the tickets we have.
And the 3-day ticket has worked out great for us. Just kind of depends on your time and when you're here. But if you get here past mid-September, odds of seeing a bear are pretty slim, I think, from what I understand.
And they have, the 20th maybe is when they're going to stop, not have this place open anymore.
And one other thing I'm going to say is I had planned on having salmon for supper tonight, but after being here for a day or two, I realized let's wait, let our noses and palates kind of clear a little bit because, like we said, the salmon are out here, and it's part of the ecosystem here.
Yes.
But just want to let you know, if you're really squeamish, you might want to wear a mask or something to help block that. But this is an amazing, amazing place, and you don't want to miss it. Okay, we are officially leaving Alaska. We are at Hyder, and that's about as far south as you can go by. That is as far south as you can go by road, and you actually get here through British Columbia. And I'm going to try to take a picture of the sign that says entering Alaska, because there is no border agent as you enter, because you're going to go buy fudge, go to the Fish Creek Bear viewing thing, or the glacier, or all three, which we did. And this is known as the friendliest ghost town. But we are driving through Hyder, and folks, our time in Alaska, wow.
It's indescribable.
It's
so vast, so
massive, and
so magnificent.
Okay, we are basically at the end of the Cassiar Highway.
What a beautiful drive.
It has been stunning. Now, a lot of people, when they get here, they basically keep going south until they get to Vancouver and Seattle. Since we're from Texas, we're not. We're heading back east a bit. And our plan at this point is to drive down the Icefield Parkway. We loved it on the way up, and if you've watched our videos, you know we did. But that's just, we understand we can get through Jasper. But there have been fires this year. So the shoulders, honestly, my opinion of the Cassiar is, okay, the shoulder's a little bit narrower, but
be sure you get gas where it's available, because you're going to go long stretches where it's not available.
that is the one thing I would say, is that there were longer stretches between gas stations, it seemed to be. Nothing outlandish. I think 150 miles was about the furthest, but that can change if gas station opens or has gasoline or not. So, okay, another one of the fun things about not having reservations and not having really a
schedule,
good word, is we were driving across Highway 16 here in Canada, heading over toward the Icefield Parkway. Yes. We're not going to get there for a few days, but saw a sign for a hatchery. So we just drove on down here. If you've watched our Texas videos, you know we love going to catfish hatcheries. We've been to trout hatcheries, and
the one in Wyoming.
Yeah, was trout.
Yeah.
But this is salmon, kind of in the middle of Canada.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, I mean, we were at Hyder. Yeah. We were about at the end of salmon season at Hyder, Alaska, a couple of days ago, and she said we're still about 2 weeks out from the peak here. Yeah. And so she did tell me where I could fish up the road a little bit. We'll see if we do that or not. But guys, this is what interests us. But this is what changes a drive into a vacation, is being able to just stop at whatever interests you. Yesterday, MiLena saw this kind of steeple thing. We stopped. We pulled in, looked at it. Taking time to do those things makes it a vacation.
What makes it so that we're still speaking at this point is Sharon goes to things that I want to go to, whether she really has an interest or not. And I go to things she wants to,
The hatchery.
whether that's my interest or not.
And I fish. That gives us some time apart.
Yes.
She was very patient yesterday while I went several times. I have an 8-day BC license, and so when we see
British Columbia.
when we see fresh water that is accessible, which I'm amazed at the places that fish are surviving in the silt here, but it may be because they're heading in to spawn. But anyway, folks, if you get a chance to take a leisurely vacation, these are the things that make memories.
Yes.
Okay, we were just at a gas station in Fraser, Fort
maybe.
Fraser, I think, British Columbia. It's a little place.
And our first thing at the gas station was a woman came up to us and said, "Oh, I just love your little sign about two-tired teachers. I worked in the school district," etc., etc.
Really nice, friendly people.
And after I'd finished pumping the gas,
This young man who had
a van
a van that goes around and services, restocks, like convenience stores, like the Frito-Lay distributors would in the States. Except this was...
he came over and he said, "I'd like to give you a snack. I saw that. I'm going to check out your channel, but I'd like to give you a snack." I said, "Okay."
And so we thought, whatever. Folks, show them how many packages
Of
jerky. Folks, this is, even if it were just $10 a package, that's $50 worth of stuff. And it's stuff we can't get in the States. So we are super pumped and excited about this, and traveling is just awesome.
He said that they aren't available in the States, but all over Canada.
And so we need to sample some before we get out. But anyway, just blessed and want to share it.
Yes.
Not the jerky. The fact that we were...
As always,
Thanks for watching Two Tired Teachers. And we will catch you. Next episode of Alaska on a Budget will be the Icefields Parkway.